morning everyone. It is Vlogmas day 8. So I'm going to light my advent candle as we always do. Oh, excuse me. My cat is wandering here, so if you see me pulling some strange faces, it's probably because I've ended up with a claw in my leg or something. Oh. There you go. So that's that done. Christmas jumper courtesy of my dad from his fancy dress box. He's given me 2 others to go with, so made up with that. You'll see those over the coming days. Today I thought I would talk about a series of books, and I would talk about the series that I'm in the middle of and the series that I'm hoping to start. Obviously that'll be in January now, so I will start with the ones that I'm part way through, including the one that I finished last night. So this is the Lunar Chronicles series. I've just finished Cinder, loved it, definitely want to carry on with that. It's basically about, it's like sci-fi elements to it. For instance, Cinder is a cyborg, so I'm assuming Snow White will be a cyborg. I don't know, is there Rapunzel, Snow White, Red Riding Hood, can't remember the other one, but there's a twist on fairy tales and it's coming from a sci-fi fantasy type element, so definitely want to carry on with that. That's by Marissa Meyer. If I go through these and you've loved them, let me know, because I'll bump them up to the top of the pile. The next one is The Great Brain Robbery by P.G. Bell. I read The Train to Impossible Places for a touch of whimsy. Was it an Alice in Wonderland theme readathon? God, was that only last month? I couldn't take part in the readathon, but they had a Greek book, so I read the Train to Impossible Places. I'm not sure I've finished watching that live show actually with the author. I'll have to get onto that. So definitely want to carry on with this. It is Susie. She ends up going on the Impossible Post Express, and it's the adventures there, so I want to carry on with that. The next one that I recently read was The Jumbies by Tracy Baptiste. I picked this up for Middle Grade Monthly. I couldn't get it in time for the live show, and I only got it in the last month or so, and I've read it since then. I believe there's another one. I don't know the name of it. Will it say? No, I don't think it will. I don't know the name of the other Jumbies book, but this one, I was a bit like, oh, it might be a bit spooky. It's Caribbean folklore, but I believe there is another one, and it wasn't spooky enough to put me off, so definitely want to carry on with that. Crater Lake by Jennifer Killick. This was in my November TBR. Nikki picked it for me. I'm so glad she did. I have recently seen on Twitter that there's a second one coming out. Again, sounded quite spooky, not too spooky for me, luckily enough, so I'm definitely picking up the next one to that. Next one is Nothing to See Here Hotel You Ain't Seen Nothing Yeti by Steve Butler. I think the first one was just called the Nothing to See Here Hotel. Really simple, lots of pictures in there, so there's not too much text. Easy to get through. Basically about Frankie Bannister, which is this little guy. Is he a gnome? No, a goblin prince. Oh no, having just saved the hotel from a goblin prince. Frankie Bannister. I don't know what type of, I don't know if he's like an elf or something. It's been a while since I've read it. But basically, they're in this seaside hotel, and lots of sinister things go on. So like it says, last time he saved the hotel from Goblin Prince. There's all these different types. So there's witches and ghosts, and there's a dragon there. Well, obviously a yeti in this one. So all strange and wonderful things happen. So definitely carrying on with that. The Uncommoners. I recently read The Crooked Sixpence by Jennifer Bell. Loved it, so wanted to carry on. Another one that Middle Grade Monthly picked. So this time, I'll take this out, but it's a library book, this one. I'm going for The Smoking Hourglass. It's basically, let's say, set in the city of London. Or I can't remember the girl, what her name was. It's been a while. Ivy. But I think this one's more about her brother, Sebastian. Basically, her grandma was supposedly involved in an accident that wiped her memory, but actually I think her memory had been wiped purposely so that she couldn't be caught by people from the Uncommoner world. So yeah, definitely want to carry on with that. This isn't quite a sequel. The Wind in the Willows. Oh goodness me. Graham. Kenneth Graham. Yeah, Kenneth Grahame wrote The Wind in the Willows. I remember doing that. I don't actually know if I read the book, but I remember taking part in a play at school. So William Harwood has come up with one called The Willows in Winter, which said the best-selling sequel to The Wind in the Willows. I know enough about The Wind in the Willows, the 4 characters, to know what's gone on before. So this is one that I definitely want to. I've had this since I was a kid, so I definitely want to get round to it. So I'll be doing that. So not quite a series, but it's classed as a sequel, so we'll go with that. The Lucy Holiday A Night In With series, as you know, because I've mentioned it quite a few times. I've read Marilyn Monroe, read Audrey Hepburn. Grace Kelly is my next one. This is on my TBR for December, so I'll hopefully get through this one. And this is the last one. I was hoping she'd do others, like Judy Garland, for instance. There's still time, I suppose, but yeah, very good. The next one is the Maz Evans series. So they're all named after songs. So there's Who Let the Gods Out, Simply the Quest, Beyond the Odyssey. We've got Against All Odds. It's basically about a lad called, I say basically a lot, don't I? But Elliot Hooper is a young boy who comes up against all the gods. Some of them are friendly, obviously, some of them are not, and he's trying to save the world. So these are on my TBR to be read next. So it's a series where it's been pretty average for me. It's been okay. There's not been anything terrible to prevent me from wanting to go on with it, but it's not my favourite read either, but I need to finish it to know what happens. The next series is the School for Good and Evil series. I think I've read 4 so far. 1, 2, 3. Or 3 so far. I think this is the 4th. Is this the 5th? Loving this series. It's just been a while since I picked one up, which I'm disappointed about, but it's because they're so chunky. So when I've got them on TBRs, I'm like trying to fit other ones in first. This is by Suman Chainani. It's another fairy tale retelling, School for Good and Evil, and following Sophie and Agatha, who were both on opposing sides. And yeah, I can't say too much because I'm quite a way through the series now and it might spoil how things go, but yeah, definitely if you like fairy tale retellings, go for those. Next one is another middle grade monthly that started me off. I read Popkin and Stubbs 1 month by Sophie Green. This one is on my TBR this time, The Haunting of Pelican City, and then I've also I purchased myself the Ghost Catcher one, so I want to continue with that. I've got one book left of the Narnia series to go through by C.S. Lewis. Just finished reading The Silver Chair, want to get onto The Last Battle, and then I can rate them all. I think there's a lot of nostalgia in these for people. The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe is quite often the one that starts people off and they think, oh, I need to get through that series. No, that's the way it happened for me. But they're just average for me. I want to finish the series because I've meant to do it all my life and this is the only time I've finally got around to it. So I'll be glad once I've read them all. Will I read them again? Possibly with Sophie, but not a reread for myself. I very rarely reread anyway. It'd have to be something really special. The next ones are the Perfect series by Helena Duggan. I've already read A Place Called Perfect and I've got The Trouble with Perfect and The Battle for Perfect to go. It's about, can I remember the characters' names? Probably not. Violet and Boy end up in this world where everybody's seeing things through rose-tinted specs. I don't know what else happens in the series. I just know they're battling to save Perfect at the beginning one, and I think they managed to stop one baddie but one escapes, and I'm assuming we come up against that other baddie in these ones. But it's been a while since I've read the first one, so this is what I need to stop happening, is leaving it too long. Because as you can see, I'm in the middle of a lot now and it's going to take me an age to get through them all. The next series, Wizard of Once. I read the first one, Wizard of Once, by Cressida Cowell for Middle Grade Monthly. Again, they've got a lot to answer for starting me on all these series. I'm not complaining, I love it. I haven't yet read Knock Three Times and Never and Forever. Not my favourite books, but because I've read them and they've been okay, I want to see what happens. I read the first one and enjoyed it. I listened to the second one, and although I like David Tennant, his voice, and he is a good narrator, I couldn't take to it as much. I don't know why, so I'm going to read the next 2. These are both library books. Then we've got I've read Little Women and Good Wives, and I've still got Little Men and Jo's Boys to go. Something's put me off a long time because I've read Little Women multiple times before. I know in America they put Good Little Women and Good Wives together in a book, and this is by Louise M. Alcott, by the way. I'm sure you all know that. And I've put these ones off for ages, but I remember my grandma telling me that there was others in the series, and I didn't know at the time, so I bought them. And they've just been sat on my shelf since I was a little girl, to the point where I think one of them must have got wet, and so this has come off, which is annoying because my books are always pristine. So I need to be persuaded to go. And I do want to read more classics, and I would consider these as classics. So maybe next year I need to come up with some kind of goal about reading classics, and these can persuade me to do that. And then finally, in terms of series that I'm still making my way through, I read the #1 Ladies Detective Agency. My dad got me the book for my birthday. I've had this one on my TBR pile for ages, and then I bought a load myself for cheap one's from Save the Children, and one's a Recover one from like a pound store. I've been picking them up along the way, but I can't go onto these till I've read this one, and they're so short. So that's another one that needs to be added to some kind of TBR. Maybe for one of my Scrabble TBRs, I need to have Scrabble and series. There is one for me, Scrabble and series. I'm going to do that one definitely in the new year. Sorry, I can't stop moving. So now on to series that I want to start, but maybe I need to put in a rule that I can't start until I've finished one of those ones. There's this series by Luann G. Smith. I won this gorgeous series of The Vine Witch, The Glamourist and The Conjurer off Twitter. And so I need to start on those. I think there's going to be slightly fantasy elements, and that's something I'm trying to branch out in. So maybe this would be a good start. So there's that one. I've got one called Why Mummy Doesn't Give a... There's a whole series of these, Why Mummy Drinks, etc. Why Mummy Swears, Why Mummy Drinks. So that just says the journal. But I know there's like multiples of these now. And because I'm a mum and I know how stressful it can be being a mum, as glorious as it is, and there's so many benefits, it's stressful being a mum. There's mum guilt. Sometimes you do feel like just sitting and having a drink at the end of a long day. So this is a series I definitely want to start. I don't know if there's I think it might be told in diary form. Yeah, diary form. And basically at the back of this one, it's talking about endless singing of Frozen songs, something that every mum can relate to. The next, I've just dropped a book on my candle, but it's okay. I'm not good with candles. I think we've learned this now. The next series I want to start is the Jodie Taylor Chronicles. Oh, she did the Chronicles of St Mary's, and this is another series that she started. I won Hard Time on Twitter, and so I got the first one from the library. So in order to get to this one, how thick is that? I need to get to this one. So yeah, it's another time traveling. It's the People Who Police time travel, I believe. So I started the first one of the Chronicles of St Mary and enjoyed it, but it's been a few years since I read it because my friend told me about it, and I haven't carried on with it. So I don't know if that one is a series that's supposed to come first and then you go on to this one. If you know, let me know, because I don't really want to start this one until I finish that one, but there could be like 13 books in that for all I know. So there's that one. On my TBR this month is Amelia Fang and the Barbaric Balls. Steph Loves picked this for me, and this is the first one, and there's multiples of these as well, so I am going to have to start this one. Basically it's about this little girl, Amelia Fang. She's a vampire, and I'm assuming there's going to be ghosts and ghouls and goblins, so looking forward to that. Next one, Day Martin. This is one that's been picked for me for a future TBR. I purchased this for that person, and they said they'd be interested in my thoughts in it, so I bought myself a copy. Because there's Day Justice after this, I think, as well. It's basically a lad, I think, who writes letters to Martin Luther King. So yeah, definitely want to give that a go. So that's on my list. Love the sound of the Bromance Book Club by Lisa K. Adams. Sorry, that one's by Nick Stone. I've read Jackpot by her before, and I quite enjoyed that, so I want to give that a go. Beardy David from Lauren and the Books' partner. Oh, fiance now. he's been really enjoying these, and she said he's not as much of a reader as her, and he's loved these. So that's a recommendation if I've ever read one. So yeah, Lisa K. Adams, or Lysa K. Adams, The Bromance Book Club, basically about a group of men who try and better the relationships with the partners by starting a romance book club. That is right down my alley, and I just think there's 3 or 4 of these books, so I want to get onto this, and I bought it recently and it's sat there, and yeah, I want to get onto that. Next one is Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. I got this one in the hope of reading it for Believeathon and then swapped it out for something else. And this is now sat on my shelves. People are talking about a lot about Holopox, which is the 3rd one in the series that they're reading right now, and in the middle is Wondersmith. Saw Wondersmith at my library yesterday and thought you can only pick that up once you've read this one. So again, another one to get onto. Somewhere I have got the 13-Story Treehouse by Andy Griffiths and Terry Denton. I bought this one by accident thinking it was the first one. I have got the first one somewhere, I don't know where it is. It just sounds fun, and it goes all the way up to 100 and something. Well, this one's got 104, but I'm sure I've seen one for sale recently that's higher, so it goes up in 13s: 13, 26, 52, 65, 78, 91, 104, and it goes higher, I believe. And there's lots of pictures in there. I think it's something that Sophie would like. I would love us to get into a series that we can read together. She's really loving Roald Dahl at the minute. Eventually I want to get her onto Harry Potter, but I don't want to start Harry Potter until she's old enough to go through the series one after the other quite close together, because there's no point starting the Philosopher's Stone now and then getting to some of the spookier ones near the end and having to put them off for years. So I need to pick the right age. So if you've done that with your children, let me know what age you started it with, because I want to do that with Sophie at the appropriate time. The next one is One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. I got quite a grubby copy of this from Music Magpie. I wasn't impressed. But I believe there's a series of these. Somebody likened it to The Breakfast Club, and I love that film, so I want to get on with that. Another one that I got through, it was something like Date Night with a Book or something like that. Andy's mum had bought a subscription for me for a few of them, because she asked me what I wanted for Christmas one year, and this came as one of them. It's called The Boy Who Lived with the Dead, but I didn't realise it's the second in a series that they'd sent me. Why they do that for subscriptions, I don't know. But it's a particular detective, Scotland Yard detective DA Albert Lincoln, and he's solving another murder, but it puts me off that it's about death, and the pictures in a graveyard, and I keep putting it off. I need to give it a try because I do like mystery books. Another one I've seen people singing the praises of is Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery. It's made me want to read it more after reading the Anna James, Tilly and the Book of Stories type books, because she mentions Anne of Green Gables in quite a few of that series. So yeah, I really want to try it, but there's something that puts me off. You know, I don't know if it's that wholesome twee feel that I think it might have. I think it's going to be a bit like Pollyanna type, too maybe sickly sweet. I don't know, but people are raving about this a lot, and it's another classic, so that could be another one for a classic type readathon. What about Scrabble and... Oh, we'll just have to do Scrabble and classics. We can't find it beginning with S. And lastly, I mentioned a few videos ago that I'd never read a graphic novel before, and I read Pumpkinheads for Halloween, and said to people what wasn't sure about that one, and said what other ones can I try. And my niece Alex and quite a few other people as well started listing graphic novels for me to try, and Heartstoppers was mentioned quite a lot, so I got all 3 from the library, and I haven't started them yet, and part of me tried to send back all the ones that I don't think I'm going to read before the end of the year, but I stopped myself with these ones because there's not much writing on them, so I could be doing these in between other books. So I'm determined to keep these at home unless somebody else puts them on hold, and then I'll just take them back and take them out another time. But while they're not on hold, I should be doing these. So give me encouragement, people. So I think that's enough series to be going on with. I really shouldn't be adding any more to this. So when I'm trying to come up with my goals for next year, I need to be thinking along the lines of reading classics, getting through series and not starting another series till I've finished some of the ones I'm already in the middle of. So I hope this was okay. There's plenty of books shown there, wasn't there? Let me know which ones you've loved. Let me know which ones you were a bit iffy about, and that will determine where they go on my pile. Sorry, I nearly burnt my house down again with candles. And I will see you tomorrow for Vlogmas Day 9. Bye.